going live on YouTube now. I'll let you know when it's up. And we are live. It's great to be here, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I am Tyler Ellison, and I am joined by my amazing friend Akira. Hello, Akira.
Hi, everyone. I'm Akira from Japan, and I'm so glad to meet you guys and be able to interact with Ryok with you all together.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I've been working with Akira for a little bit now, and his audience has really taken a liking to the Ryok material and teaching. So I've been doing events with him in Japan for the audience there, and it's been such a wonderful experience. The questions that have been brought up have been very thought-provoking, very heartfelt, and it's been so great to work with you, Akira. So I'm really grateful we get to continue this, and now you get to be here on my YouTube channel, which is really exciting.
Thanks for that. Yeah, same here. So I'm so grateful to be able to work with you, and all the audiences feel so grateful for you and Ryok. So yeah.
Yeah, excellent. So today you have questions from some of the people in Japan, correct?
Yes, I got 10 questions. Hopefully, it fits in within an hour time frame.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. So, and you'll be translating too, that's right?
No, actually, I don't have to translate this time. I'm just going to be asking a question all in English, and I put a Japanese transcript later on and post it on my YouTube with the Japanese transcript. So this time, I don't have to translate.
Perfect. Oh, that's great. That's great. It saves us some time. So I think we'll be able to get through those in a timely fashion. For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, without further ado, Kira, I'll go in to the state and have a blast, and everybody who's tuning in, have fun as well.
Great.
Oh, and everyone who's tuning in, just because this is a Q&A with questions that have already been prepared, we won't be taking questions live today, but me and Yahaira will be back on my page to take in live questions. So stay tuned for that. But anyway, let's go ahead and begin. And we thank you so much for the unique co-creation of this interaction. As always, it is our civilization's highest joy, passion, and ecstasy to be able to speak to you and to members of your species through the channel. And we extend to you this day the following question: how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Ryok, and nice to talk to you again.
It is so exciting to be able to speak to you through the channel as well. How would you like to proceed and interact?
Yes, so I'm from Japan, and I got 10 questions to ask you from Japanese audience today. So I'll go each by each, and I don't need a translation this time, so I'm just gonna go by English.
All right, Please proceed with your questions.
Yes. So the first question is actually related to Japan specifically. And as you may know, there are a lot of shrines in Japan, so many shrines in Japan, and there are a lot of gods, what you call gods. A lot of them resides in Japan, so many of them. Unlike, any other parts of the world, we got so many gods, so to speak. So from the point of view, or from kind of a higher realm or higher dimensions, what is the kind of those a lot of shrines or a lot of gods really kind of influencing, or what's the role that they play, the effect they have in terms of having so many shrines and so many gods, especially in Japan, which is unlike any other parts of the world.
We will break this down in a few different ways. Understand that the shrines dedicated to specific gods or goddesses are designed to act as a medium so your species can communicate very powerfully with nature itself. The different deities that you have, in a sense, are representing the spirit level of the different forces of nature.
Got it.
And due to the idea that these intelligences that manifest as the forces of nature are simply energy, it can be a little challenging for your species to be able to relate to that energy. It's almost as if it does not have a form that your physical mind can really comprehend in a way that allows you to have a communication. So deification of these forces presents to your species a symbol, an image that your physical mind can then utilize to be able to commune with the intelligence that are the natural forces of nature.
Understand.
In terms of the energy effects that these shrines have, they operate as interdimensional portals. And these portals will connect your realm with different realms of spirit that are pertinent to whatever the energy is of the particular natural force and the deity associated. So different shrines will link your consciousness to different realms of spirit, different levels within the astral realm, the causal realm, so on and so forth. So in general, the shrines act as portals. And in addition to allowing for your species to communicate with the intelligence related to that particular realm, it also allows for beings from these other realms to be able to enter, energetically speaking, into your physical reality to assist individuals who make contact with them, and so they can explore your physical reality for themselves. For your realm is very unique and is very exotic, and is something that is very desirable for many non-physical beings to experience.
Understood. So it's kind of really, strongly related to the nature or natural spirits, rather than typical what we call like God, so to speak. It's more of a nature, spiritual type of energy that we're kind of connecting to.
It is a nature level of energy that you're communing with. However, due to the vastness of that energy and the density and size of that energy, to many of you in your olden times, you perceived them as gods because they were forces that were so incomprehensible to your physical mind that, in a sense, divinity in that way was then allocated to them to make them more understandable.
So what's the difference between those kind of a nature spirits, so to say, and also there are like beings in fifth or sixth or seventh or eighth higher dimensions? What are those differences? I mean, specifically speaking.
Well, there can be nature spirits that operate at those higher dimensional levels as well. And there are nature spirits that operate at lower frequency levels as well.
Okay.
So it's all a matter really of the specific nature spirit. In terms of nature spirits that you understand the most powerful differentiating factor between them and what you would consider to be higher dimensional beings is that the nature spirits are terrestrial to all of you. They are
Okay,
very much related to your Earth, to your planet.
understand.
For many of you, what you consider to be extra dimensional beings, this can be related to your Earth, can be related to nature spirits. However, it oftentimes is also related to what you would consider to be extraterrestrial beings, as well as different types of spirit consciousness that may not even have a physical expression.
Hmm. Understood. Understood. All right, great.
Some
Thank you
of
very much.
these
Yeah.
shrines that you had
Yeah.
mentioned are connected to these different levels as well. Even though we described them as being gateways for different intelligences and forces of nature, understand that because all of creation is nature, this also includes what you would consider to be extra dimensional beings.
Okay, got it. Got it. Understood. Okay, thank you very much.
You're very
And
welcome.
yes, so the second question is also kind of related to Japan specific, but is there any particular reasons to be born to a certain countries? For instance, this is this question from Japanese. So Japanese are wondering what is the specific reason, if there is any, to be born in Japan?
There are many different reasons. There are many different themes that are available very directly to individuals whom are born in Japan that are not as directly available to other individuals in other parts of the world. And this is why you have so many different parts of the world that you can be born into, because each different location represents different types of themes that are more directly available to individuals. In Japan, there are quite a few themes that are very exciting to us when we observe them energetically. Some of these themes relate to the idea of the creation of technologies that are ultimately designed to be synergistic with your species and synergistic with nature. Now, we understand many technologies have been created that may seem contradictory to that. However, from our point of view, technologies that are designed to be beneficial to your planet, beneficial to your species, are being developed in Japan. And many of the souls that incarnate into Japan directly and indirectly fuel that direction of innovation. Because remember, what occurs in a country, what occurs in a particular location on your planet is a result of both the individual and collective consciousness. So that's one of the major themes. Another theme relates to the idea of deep elemental relating to nature. And this goes hand in hand with, again, your first question about the different shrines. That is a reflection of a certain level of the Japanese collective consciousness, which acts as an open door, an open portal for the collective consciousness and what you would consider to be the spirit world. So individuals that are born here have access to a very innate, a very natural spiritual connection to the physical reality, to the cosmos, to nature. And this is also why there is such an expansive imagination in the Japanese culture. So these are some of the major themes we are detecting that are present within Japan that draw certain souls to it. Those types of things are a little bit more available. Other places are quite different. You may notice that some locations do not seem to really have that accessibility to the imagination. They may be a little bit more segregated from nature, so on and so forth. So every place will be a little bit different and will have its own unique themes. And there's much more we could say. However, for time's sake, we will keep it there unless there's more you wish to explore.
Okay, understand. Great, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
We're going to next question. So this is kind of a general questions that apply to probably everyone. But so this question you're saying that he knows it's important to act on your excitement, but whenever he wants to act on out of excitement, there's always the kind of financial concerns or issues gets in his ways and kind of stop his kind of energy, so to speak, to move forward. So is there any tips or advice that you can give him or give us to sort of become energetically, keep the momentum of strength to go through those concerns about financials and really pursue the path of acting out of their excitement?
The key here is to understand that your finances are not separate from your passion. So it's important when you're acting on your passion to include your relationship with money, to include your relationship with finances. We will provide an example. In this example, there is an individual in your physical reality who desires to take a trip to Hawaii. It's very exciting to them. However, they look at their bank account and they do not seem to have the necessary funds to be able to purchase the plane ticket. Now, an individual could look at that situation and say, oh no, I cannot follow my passion. Understand that from our point of view, this is an invitation for an individual to more powerfully expand their imagination. For understand, there may be certain ways that they can actually travel there for less money. That's one way they could explore it if that's exciting to them. It may also mean that that particular option of traveling to Hawaii actually isn't the most relevant option for them. There may actually be another option that's more exciting, and the money may be letting them know that. It may also, through expanding their imagination, prompt them to develop a new relationship with their money, where they begin to save more money, or they expand their career in a more exciting way that allows for them to experience a greater reflection of abundance, so they are then able to save more money, thus enabling them to take that trip through that particular means of purchasing a ticket. But understand, purchasing a ticket is just one way they can get there. There are many other ways. There are many other ways to travel that do not involve the idea of purchasing tickets. There are different forms of bartering, exchanges, gifts. There are all types of ways. So whenever it seems that money is getting in the way of following your passion, don't see it as separate from your passion. See it as another aspect of it. And really ask yourself, is it more exciting for me to purchase this thing now, or to use money to explore this thing? Or is there another way I can go about it? And if it really seems as if that option is not accessible to you, that means it's likely not the most relevant option for you yet. It may become relevant at another point, but in the meantime, observe what other exciting options are available to you. There's many ways as well to follow your passion that do not require money. For understand, when we say follow your passion, we're not always talking about something that seems very big. Following your passion is something you are able to do moment to moment to moment to moment to moment, ensuring that every option that you explore is based in passion. For example, reading your favorite book, if you already have the book, does not really involve money. Taking a walk to your favorite location does not really involve any money. Calling a friend or a loved one that you enjoy talking to does not really cost any money. Creating works of art with materials that you already have in your possession do not cost any money, so on and so forth. So don't see the money as something that keeps you from following your passion. See it as another extension of it so you can use your money in the most exciting way, which will ultimately be positive. Unless you define spending money in negative ways. Only then can you create negative effects through utilizing finance. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. And can I make a sort of clarification if I understand correctly?
Right.
Because I remember once you said that in order to manifest or whatever, achieve whatever the goal, it's really important to focus on the state or the energy that you achieve when you sort of envision something. Like for this case, visioning that you want to travel to Hawaii, and making that happen is maybe important, but more importantly, being in that sort of state of achieving to go to Hawaii and feel that energy inside of you is really important. So maintaining that energy should be the goal, instead of dropping the energy down by thinking about money, because that's not what you're looking for, basically. So in that sense, insisting too much on going to Hawaii may kind of drop you down when you think about something else. But if you focus on that energy, energy state, then you might be able to include those financial challenges, whatever the challenges are around you, to be more positive experience. Is that kind of a close understanding of what you're saying?
Precisely, because the actual going to Hawaii is just a symbol.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a symbol for a preferred reality experience. So if
Right.
you maintain the energy state, even if you don't go to Hawaii, but you apply the energy state into other areas of your life, you will begin to experience more of that preferred reality reflecting back to you through your journey.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And we thank you for your clarification.
Yes. All right. So the next question is, it's kind of a health issue related questions. And this question is about if you have like a tooth decay, or if you're having a paralysis, physically speaking, from a stroke, or if you're having a kind of a loss of eyesight, those kind of really physiological issues that is really really physical, so to speak. It doesn't really seem to be coming out of mental whatever the condition, but it's really physically going out of a normal status. Is this also something that you can fix from your belief or the consciousness, or is it something totally different, out of control from the belief or consciousness perspective?
It's not totally different, because these manifestations have their origin in those levels that are the belief level, the consciousness level, the energy level. We will explain. You may experience the idea of a degenerative eye disease or tooth decay, as was mentioned in this example. In order for those things to actually manifest, what is required first is an energy state within the person that is then resonant with those particular manifestations that are the illness. The energy state in the person is a result of different belief systems. These may be belief systems they have picked up from their parents, from society. There's many different sources. And throughout the individual's life, because they're utilizing those types of belief systems that in this case are negative, they will then find themselves taking actions in their life that are based in the energy of those negative beliefs. Those actions that they take, more often than not, will be actions that are contradictory to states of health, contradictory to states of well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, those physical actions, empowered by the energy of the negative beliefs, then create the physical experiences of those particular illnesses. So what is required of an individual in order to transform those things is to pay attention to the actions that they're taking in their lives that encourage those types of illnesses, and to then cease taking the actions. Then take it a step back. What are the thoughts I'm utilizing that empower these illnesses? And let go of those thoughts. Take it a step back. What are the emotional energies I am indulging, that I am choosing to experience, that are aligned with these illnesses? Let those states of being go. Cease to choose them. And then dial it a step back further to the belief level and say, What are the belief systems I must be using in order for me to be creating those types of feelings, those types of thoughts, those types of actions, and receive those belief systems and ultimately let them go. Remember, the key is to make the belief systems look nonsensical. Because if they are truly negative belief systems, they will look nonsensical. They tend to express themselves as the following: I am not worthy, I don't deserve, so on and so forth. And when you look at what is fundamentally true, that without you, creation couldn't exist, those belief systems that say, I'm not worthy, I don't deserve, I am bad, make no sense. And they are automatically released. And as those belief systems are released, the emotional energies related to them begin to dissipate, the thoughts related to them begin to dissipate, and the actions related to them begin to seem less attractive and even repulsive. So these are some of the phenomenon that can occur when an individual really goes into that belief level. But all of your physical phenomenon, both related to your bodies and your health and your natural world, are side effects of belief systems. There are personal belief systems and there are collective belief systems. And these types of things work together to create the idea of your experience of your health and your physical bodies, as well as your experience of your collective reality.
So what you're saying is that if you really let go of those negative beliefs that really created those physical problems, even if it's like a paralysis or, loss of eyesight or, tooth decay, seems like, really, non-fixable. But then what you're saying is that if you really remove that belief, then those problems is going to be, resolved and go back to the normal state. Is that what you're saying?
This is possible, yes. It is possible. Remember, it all depends on what's truly relevant for an individual. But if that type of transformation is relevant to someone and they really take those steps that allow for that manifestation to occur, then it's probable they'll experience those types of reversals.
Okay,
Remember,
so
it's important that they really let go of those beliefs, which will empower them to let go of the emotions, the thoughts, and the actions that are synergistic with the illness. Once they have done that, though, it is of greatest importance that they really develop new beliefs that represent their true nature, that represent who they are at their core, and that they then choose positive states of being, positive thoughts, and finally, positive actions. And as they use the new beliefs and take the new actions, they will effectively become, linearly speaking, a different person. A totally different person who never had the illness in the first place.
Oh, okay, got it. I kind of remember Bashar said that kind of stuff. Yeah, you don't, if you become totally new person, you have a different history. That means you haven't, you never had that kind of a symptom, so to speak.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And one final confirmation about this topic is that you said it's probable or it's possible means that it's not sort of, you're not meaning that like it's a by chance, but it depends on the theme that this person is chose to explore. Therefore, removing the belief doesn't necessarily have to sort of cure those physical problems for that person to pursue the path they chose to explore in the theme. Maybe having those loss of eyesight may be the easiest path or least resistance path to fulfill the purpose or the theme of their life. Is that correct?
That is correct. If it is truly relevant for them to reverse those conditions, then it is probable that they will reverse them through the idea of, again, becoming that new person. But if it's less relevant for them to receive that type of reversal, then that may not be required and would then be less probable.
Okay.
But it is possible.
Yes. Understand. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
All right. So the next question is also a general one. So, you talk about this a lot, and also Bashar talks about this a lot, that you have to let go of the expectations when you sort of, going through the manifestation processes. But this person is really wondering how does it really feel like to really let go of those expectations while really passionately pursuing what you really desire? He just don't fully get what kind of sensations you're really actually having during those, seemingly polar opposite, status.
We will explain it like this. When an individual is using expectations, they're essentially saying with their energy, this thing I am picturing must occur exactly how I'm picturing it, or I will not be happy. That's essentially the energy of expectation.
Right.
The energy of following your joy and your passion and moving in the direction of what most greatly excites you is very different than that. It's an energy state that is based in having fun, not really caring about what happens, because whatever happens, you can respond to positively with no expectation. Thus, you will experience more positivity in your life. So there is a greater sense of freedom. There is a greater sense of ease. There is a greater sense of playfulness, and a knowingness that whatever one encounters on their journey, even if it looks contradictory to their passion, they can respond to that in a passionate way, thus allowing for them to experience more passion. So those are some of the energy differences between the idea of expectation and being truly in the frequency of joy.
So in other words, I kind of fear that it's really about being in the moment, not worrying about what is going to happen in the future, what has been in the past, but really enjoying that moment, that what you're doing. Is that kind of a fair understanding?
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
All right, so the next one is really kind of a technological question. I'm not really totally following this, but I'm gonna, read it out anyway. So this questioner is saying that he's heard from Bashar that he's wondering about, he's kind of curious about the torus structure, and he's saying that the Tesla coil that Nikola Tesla created is torus structure, and it's really the kind of a basic structure of energy. And also, Bashar probably talked about this, but human body is also, fundamentally torus structure. So he's really fascinated about this torus thing. So is there anything that you can elaborate around this torus structure or torus?
Understand that everything that exists in your physical reality is energy. It is simply highly condensed energy that creates the experience of that thing having a certain physicality to it. So recognize that because everything is technically energy, there is also associated with every physical thing an energetic field that surrounds that thing. Trees have this. What you consider to be inanimate objects have this. Your technologies have this. Your bodies have this. This field, which is partially electromagnetic, is partially astral, energetic, so to say, links the expression of that thing in the here and now to past versions, linearly speaking, of that thing, and future versions of that thing. So understand the auric field, the energetic toroidal field that surrounds things within your physical reality, allows for those things to have a relationship energetically to past and future parallel realities, so a sense of continuity can be maintained. It also allows for that physical thing to have an energetic relationship with what you would consider to be the energetic aspect of your planet's collective consciousness, as well as energetic links and doors to non-physical realms altogether. So as physical changes are then experienced in that physical thing, different aspects of energy are then transferred or communicated from those different realms into the physicality. And that medium of transfer, that medium of communication is that toroidal field. For the toroidal field is not necessarily on the outside of the body or on the outside of the physical structure of whatever the thing is. Some of it is, but it also penetrates into that physical structure. So whenever you are making changes within your own physicality, using your consciousness, using your imagination, you are effectively using that toroidal field to tune into other unique parallel realities, past versions of yourself, future versions of yourself, higher self levels of your being, soul levels of your being, so on and so forth. And that energy that represents whatever you're connecting to through your imagination is then brought into that toroidal field, which then informs all of the cells of your body and is part and parcel with how you create the shifting effect of becoming one self, then another self, then another self as you move through the parallel realities in a linear way that you experience as linear time. That phenomenon is occurring with objects, with plants, with your technology, in a way that's more relevant to the consciousness of those things because they also have their own consciousness. For you, you experience that type of change through your imagination. For other things, it may not necessarily be that way. Does that make sense?
Yes, hopefully. So what you said, toroidal field, is that equivalent of the torus structure or torus that I kind of questioned? I'm just, sure. Okay.
The toroidal field has a geometry that looks like the torus, as you say. And that is the same as what your esoteric practitioners call the auric field. It is toroidal in nature. It looks like a torus.
Oh, okay. Understood. Great. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
All right. So I got a few more questions. So the next one is about moon. So there is a theory, so to speak, or saying or information about that moon is something that extraterrestrial being created as a man-made or sort of, satellite, so to speak. It's not really man-made. It's a extraterrestrial made satellite, so to speak. And there are like underground world in moon, or they're like, the later tower that captures like millions or billions of light years away and radio waves, or the wormholes, or there's like a mechanics that creates a parallel worlds, or all kinds of stories around this moon. So this question I want to ask you about, is it really true that moon is made by extraterrestrial beings, or any other information really true?
It's partially modified by extraterrestrial beings. It in and of itself is a natural body.
Mm-hmm.
Its origin is that of an early solar system planetary collision.
Mm-hmm.
Fragments of that collision became the moon.
Mm-hmm.
It has since then been heavily modified. There are many adjustments that have been made to it that relate to its positioning around your world, that relate to, as your questioner has pointed out, different underground structures, subterranean bases that exist within it, that allow for many extraterrestrial species to be able to interact with your world through the moon. So there are some beings that maintain a more permanent resonance within the moon. There are other beings that utilize it as a bit of a way station. They may drop in for a little bit and then move on. It also allows for other worlds related to other solar systems and other realms altogether to be able to direct energy to your world via the moon as a convergence point of the energy, and the moon then beams that into the electromagnetic field of your planet. So it allows for your planet to receive a great deal of energetic communication, influence, so to say, from other frequencies of space and time in the galaxy and beyond, depending on who wishes to commune with your world. This is some of what the moon does, and is just a little bit about what is occurring there. There's much more. Some of your government officials are aware of this. This is something that is not alien to those whom work in the space programs. They're aware of this to certain extents.
Okay. So those, so it's like a communication path, so to speak, between us and also extraterrestrial beings. And hopefully those energy or the interactions that we are having, consciously or unconsciously, is positive mainly, could be negative as well.
Well, remember, it's a reflection of your species' collective consciousness.
Oh, okay. So it could be kind of negative or positive.
It all depends on your species. Remember, even though we use the word influence, we don't mean that in the way that many of you think, as if it is causing something to happen here. It's more of a reflection. It's reflecting back to you the energy state of your species. So in the past, the moon has reflected back to you greater amounts of negativity, and that's where some of your, let's just say, scary stories about the moon come from. That's why you have them. Because at different points in your species' history, the moon was more of a negative type of reflection. But it is fundamentally neutral. It only reflected negativity because that's what your species was going through. But because your species now is going through greater positive transformation, the moon itself is reflecting back to you greater levels of positivity. And as a result of this, there's only certain beings that are able to now work with your moon. They must be a match for your species' collective consciousness in order for there to even be an interaction between them and you. So just by your species becoming more positive, in a sense, it rules out the ability for great negativity from other locations to even be able to interact with you.
Okay, so it's really totally up to our frequencies, whether it's going to be negative or positive. It's really up to us.
Precisely. And that is the case with all things that you experience in your physical reality, not just the moon. And remember, the true shifting happens when you observe something negative and you respond to it positively. That represents the true disentanglement from the negative connection or the negative reality. It is only when you respond to negativity with more negativity that it persists and grows.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
2 more questions. So this is like a related to partnership. There are a lot of married couples or just romantic relationship couples that are having a issue of sexless, lack of sexual intercourses. And so how do the couples avoid those situations, and how, if that's what's happening between certain couples, how they can sort of transform that to more intimacy, physically speaking?
Well, there are many ways to explore this. For some couples, the issue relates to the idea of hormonal imbalances. In particular, hormones related to the gonads, the sexual cells, so to say. Hormonal imbalances here can diminish the idea of sex drive, sexual attraction, and that can relate to then a decrease in physical intimacy. Some of these hormonal imbalances come into play due to exposure to certain pollutants, certain toxins. Many of the pollutants, the toxins that exist in your world, are what are called endocrine disruptors. They disrupt your hormones. So one of the things to pay attention to if an individual is having issues with physical intimacy, libido, is detoxification. To remove some of these compounds that can create this type of disturbance within the sex cells and sex hormones. And the detoxification in and of itself may be enough to actually reverse that phenomenon. Remember, as we have said in the earlier question, your physical phenomenon exists because of different energies. The energies exist because of different belief systems, which are like patterns that the energy then conforms to. So as an individual goes through this detoxification process and they release some of these energies, they may also bring to the surface some of these belief systems that create the hormonal imbalance, that create the phenomenon of accumulating toxins, that ultimately create the idea of a decrease in physical intimacy. So individuals must also be open during the detoxification process to letting go of whatever negative belief systems they discover. So these are some of the things to pay attention to. It can also be an indicator that certain aspects of the physical body are out of balance. For understand, nature itself is sexual.
Whoa.
It's fundamental to life. So if individuals are experiencing issues within their sexuality, this sometimes can be an indicator that there is some type of disharmony between their consciousness, their bodies, and nature and the planet. So it can also be an invitation to commune with the planet. This might mean eating a healthier diet that's very natural. This might mean spending time outdoors. This might mean actually growing plants, growing food, composting, things like this. These types of activities can really get one's body back into alignment with nature. And this can have a very profound change on how one relates to themselves, how one relates to their bodies, and ultimately how one relates to their partner. So these are the major issues we would encourage individuals to pay attention to. Those types of permission slips will very likely assist individuals in exposing whatever those belief systems are. And as they release those belief systems, they can then replace them with new positive ones that are supportive of the preferred intimate experiences that they desire. And all they need to do once they have created the new positive belief system is embody the energy state that represents it and to then act that belief out with no expectation of what it needs to do.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
So probably this is going to be a last question, depending upon the time we have. So the next question is about the communication with animals. So this person would like to communicate with, her pets, the animals. So how can she actually communicate with the animals? She wants to understand how, what kind of stuff that she can do to really communicate with animals.
The first thing to recognize is that you're already communicating with animals.
Whoa.
It's just not mental in the way that you're used to communicating with yourself and to a certain extent other humans. So a communication's already occurring, but it's subtler. It's more electrical in nature than it is vocal. So whenever you're in the presence of an animal, your nervous systems are talking. They're communicating. That's why an animal will look at a person and sometimes feel as if they can't trust them, or will really trust them and will jump into their arms. The animal is communicating with the person's nervous system. It can feel the person on that level. So in order to really tune in to the central point of consciousness of your nervous system so you can engage yourself in that nervous system electrical communication, is to communicate from the heart. So your physical mind, for many of you, is how you navigate your physical reality. But to really live from the heart is to choose the heart as your guide for navigation in the physical reality. So to really commune with the heart, so you can commune with the animal, it is imperative that you really relax the physical mind. Get into a state where you are not really feeding your thoughts. You might be having some thoughts, you might be noticing them, but it's almost like you're watching clouds in the sky. You're not really attached to them. Get into that level of relaxation, get into that state of mind, and allow for yourself to then bring most of your awareness, most of your attention to your heart and to your breath. And this is how you immerse yourself into the center point of your nervous system, the center point of your energy field. And then from there, you can use your awareness of the space around you and the energy within you to then extend into, so to say, the reality of the animal. Now, when we say extend into their reality, what we're really talking about here is using your imagination to determine the frequency of the animal's reality, their consciousness. If you had to imagine what it is like to be a dog or to be a bird or to be a cat, what does that imagining feel like? And then feel that essence of the animal's consciousness in your heart, in your aura, in your body. And then from there, as you maintain that frequency, you can begin to send messages to them. One of the major points for sending messages is what you would consider to be your mid-eyebrow. You can imagine that your message, whatever it is you wish to communicate as an energy, rises up to your mid-eyebrow and then gently expands into the animal's reality. And then allow for yourself to remain in a receptive state and with your heart receive the communication. When the physical mind is relaxed and quiet, it will operate as an observer, which can then perceive the message. It's the heart that allows for you to have the connection, and it's the physical mind that allows for you to witness the communication. But that connection and communication ultimately comes from the heart. If you attempt to do it from the physical mind, you will not be in the proper frequency range to be able to have the interaction. The same can be said for communicating with extraterrestrials as well. For even though we demonstrate a great level of intelligence, the true seat of our intelligence is the heart. We simply use the mind to perceive and sense the reality. That's all. We live from the heart. And when we tell you to follow your joy and your passion, what we're really saying is follow your heart.
Wow, that's a beautiful story.
Yes, yes. And it can be your story if you choose.
Yes, yes. I'm really looking forward to that transformation. And I believe that we are on that track to those transformations. So I'm really looking forward to that happens.
Yes, yes. Remember, if you weren't on the track, we would not be having the conversation with you.
Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Yes.
Okay. Believe I hope I can go one more if that's okay.
If you wish, you may present one more question. That is all right.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I got two to choose from. Which one should I go? All right, I just go by order. So the last question is, this person is, really comparing with other people, with himself or herself, when the other person is really doing well. He or she feels really kind of a sense of lack or loss or whatever the negative feeling whenever he or she witnesses someone doing better than him or her. So how can he or she really stop comparing those, or doesn't really have to feel the negativity while seeing other people doing well?
The idea is to recognize that the only reason you would have a negative reaction to the success of another is because you are applying definitions to yourself that somehow say that other people can experience success, but you are not able to, you are not allowed to. So it creates a certain level of resentment or bitterness towards others who are experiencing success. So get in touch with those belief systems that are based in lack, that are based in low self-worth, and let them go. Remind yourself of your true nature. Remind yourself of your fundamental qualities, which are based in infinite worth, infinite value. Without you, as we have said before, creation, all that is, could not be. So you are fundamentally required. You are just as worthy, you are just as valid as all other expressions of consciousness. So realign with that center that reflects the knowingness of what we have shared. Really get in touch with that. Knowing that you are an aspect of all that is, you begin to see that all other people are other aspects of you. And if another person in your reality can be successful because they are you, simply a different version of you, a different frequency of you, it means you too can embody that same energy that represents success, but in your own unique way. So when you see these individuals demonstrating success, if you wish, instead of choosing to be bitter, instead of choosing to react negatively, choose to respond with celebration. Celebrate their success, knowing that same ability is available to you to be successful in relationship to abundance and achievement, if that's how you view success. However, we will remind you, from our point of view, success is simply being yourself. When you choose to be yourself, which is the same as choosing to follow your joy, choosing to respond positively, you are unconditionally successful as long as you choose to do that. That's always available to you. True failure only exists when you say, I have failed. True failure is a self-created phenomenon. It doesn't really exist, because in any situation that perhaps doesn't go to your liking or is a little chaotic or is a little challenging, success is infinitely available to you in all of those situations. The only thing that's required for you to experience it is to choose to be yourself in relationship to that challenge. Now, the outcomes may not look like how you expect them to look. It may not line up with certain insistences that you are having, but that doesn't mean you're unsuccessful. Because success really is a side effect of you being you. Because that's the point of your life, to be yourself. That's the point. So as long as you are really getting the point by being yourself, then you are unconditionally successful. So allow for yourself to really explore that knowingness and let go of the ideas that tell you otherwise. Recreate new definitions of success that are empowering to you and that are in alignment with you being yourself and following your passion. And celebrate the success of others, knowing you're celebrating yourself. And that energy will return to you, because remember, everything you experience around you is a projection upon a mirror. So if you go into joy and celebration and positivity in response to what you see, the mirror reflects that back to you. So play around with this and have fun being you.
Great. That's a great ending for this our session. So I really appreciate you're communicating with us with a great knowledge and love, and it's always a pleasure to speaking with you.
Yes, it is so exciting for us to be able to play with you and all members of your species through the channel. Our unconditional love to each and every single one of you, and we look forward to our next encounter with your kind. All right.
Hey, welcome back.
Thank you, Akira. Thank you. Oh man, that was a good time.
Yeah, that was so nice, so great, so much great information, and that was blast.
Oh, good. I'm glad you liked it, man. That flew by too. That was like super quick in terms
Oh,
of how it
really?
felt. Yeah, yeah. It felt like I don't even have a sense of time. It just felt like a dream. I like don't you know?
Wow.
Yeah, it was very deep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was yeah. I don't know. It just feel great to me as well, and time flew for me too. So really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. And I'm looking forward to our next event for the Japanese audience, which will be we have that for the middle of March, I believe. Correct?
Yes, yes. March 15th your time and March 16th for our time, morning time. Yeah,
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Well,
yeah,
I'm very much looking forward to that.
yeah,
Thank you for joining me tonight. This was a really great way to spend the evening.
yeah. Hope you liked it too.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Great.
Well, everybody who tuned in, thank you for being here. I will be back on here soon with Yahira. Once we get into March, we'll be doing our next public Q and A. So during that time, simply come to the face or the YouTube channel page, and you can submit your questions there. And Yahira will read them off to Ryok while I'm in the state. So I look forward to that event. And again, thank you all for tuning in and spending this hour plus with me and Akira and Ryok.
Okay.